get all our microphones on. Thank you. I would like to ask everyone, we're going to do our Pledge of Allegiance. Then I am going to personally do a moment of silence. So, I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. A moment of silence today. Rockport lost a real legend in town government. Don Atkinson, who served as DPW director from 1972 to 1996, as well as being on the CPC committee soon after. Don was a really terrific guy. I can remember him in town with his tan trench coat, always with a shirt and tie and a coat. And he shepherded through a lot of wonderful projects within town, with the town government, and he was a DPW director when there was no town administrator, and he was the guy. So he was kind of uncharted waters now, and you look what we're doing now and so forth. Things have changed, of course, but Don was a good and decent man. So I ask that we bow our heads in remembrance of Don Atkinson. Thank you. And I also like to recognize his two sons, Don and Mark Atkinson, are joining us here today. Thank you. Okay, we're going to start with the public comment period. We just ask that you rise, go to the microphone so we could hear you and TV can hear you, and just state your name and address. Toby.
Toby Arsenian, 95 Granite Street. 2 meetings ago, I spoke to you about my concerns about the Government and Bylaw Committee. They have decided that they are no longer going to advise the town meeting on the substance of articles, bylaw articles that come before them, that they would merely advise on the form. I spoke about this at the last meeting as well and asked for your board's response. I think it concerns all of us. Obviously, you can't pick them up by the scruff of the neck and shake them, nor would that be appropriate. But at least you might concern yourself, since you say you're greatly in favor of and impressed with the town meetings, and it's basic to how the town meetings work, that the voters get some advice one way or another. Many people don't have the time or the energy to attend committee meetings and arrive at the town meeting cold. So they depend on advice from the Government and Bylaw Committee or the Finance Committee, and one hopes it is good advice.
Thank you. Anyone else? Very good. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, sorry, Mike.
That's okay. That's all right. We're going to go to letter D, the kiosk upgrade presentation. And we have the police department here with us. Thank you for coming. Mitch, do you have any additional or introduction comments?
Chief Horvath, Sergeant Hurst, our parking program supervisor, will walk you through the 2 items that are on here, and at the end, we'll be looking for some direction from the board. If the board does opt to proceed forward, we have the opportunity to address this at the April town meeting, so we'll be looking for some direction this evening after the chief and sergeant make their presentation.
Excellent. Good evening.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Thanks for taking some time to talk about a pretty important topic. So we're at a point in time now where some of the kiosks that we have 19 kiosks in town, let me start there, that service 187 parking spaces. We need to update 10 of those kiosks to newer technology, and the other 9 of the 19 also need new radio cards going to the 4G. Really what these things are computers. So in order to stay current with the technology, we need to update and upgrade. So at this point in time, we're requesting to do that, and at the same point in time, we're also looking to continue to enhance the parking program and make it a little bit easier for folks, hopefully, to pay for parking and be able to update what they're looking to do with regards to their payment and ability to pay other than through coin or credit card. So what I'm talking about is the ability to pay by your cell phone. A lot of municipalities are doing that now. It's an app you can put on your smartphone. Takes about 5 minutes to create an account. And then what you can do is you enter a zone code that would be listed for downtown Rockport. You can pre-program in your plate of your vehicle and literally pay right from your phone and never have to walk up to the kiosk or the parking meter. It's some great technology. I was in Newburyport about a week and a half. They utilize similar technology. The software, the back-end software is a company called Passport that works with McKay Meters, which is our kiosk and meter company. Newburyport has had some good success with it. So we're here to discuss what the board's appetite is for making that change. What that would look like would be the ability to pay by your phone, but also you'd have to enter your license plate. That is a change from what we currently have, which is the receipt on the dashboard of your vehicle. So right now you walk up to the kiosk, you put in your money or your credit card, you get a receipt, you walk back to your car, and you put the receipt on the dashboard. If we go to a pay by plate, what you could do is either pay by your phone and never walk up to the kiosk, or walk up to the kiosk, enter your vehicle information, enter your plate, and then walk away and not have to return to your car. From
So
an
the kiosk would remain no matter what?
Yes.
All of them? Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yep.
Okay.
So they, it would basically be a wireless enforcement system. So the parking control folks would have a handheld device along with a printer that would ultimately print out a parking citation if in fact we needed to issue one. And we would move away from the pre-printed ticket books that we currently have, which would obviously result in a cost savings for the town with regards to the ticket books. The technology up front is obviously a financial outlay, but for convenience purposes and hopefully a better parking experience, that's why we thought we'd bring that forward for the board's consideration. And obviously answer any questions that you have.
Woo woo. Rockport enters the 19th century with parking.
Is this for to upgrade the existing kiosk, that's what you're saying?
So,
And
yep.
what options exist along with it? They can still pay by credit card, they can still pay by credit card and have those options as well, right?
So there's really three pieces to this. The first part is the upgrade. So we need to update and upgrade the current kiosks we have. The original 10, if you will, the two at the beaches, and then the 8 on Main Street are going to get a new door with a larger screen. That's part of the update. And then some of the internal components have to be updated. So that has to happen because they're 3G, 3 generation, if you will. We need to go to a 4G. And that's all about the connectivity. So when you walk up, you put your credit card in, it's waiting to connect, it's waiting to read. A lot of what's in that computer determines how quick that signal, or if the signal even goes through at all. So those changes need to be made on those machines. In addition to that, radio cards will go into the other existing kiosks that are along High Street, Mount Pleasant, Broadway, but those have the more updated door and screen, if you will. So that's the updated piece for the kiosks. If we're going to go to this alternate method of technology, if you will, by pay by plate as well as pay by phone, now is the time to do it. It doesn't make sense for us to do this upgrade on all these machines and then wait a year or two and add on, because it's going to be an additional cost and it's going to be a lot more work to do it. So if we're going to do it, we should do it all at the same time, and that's why, Sergeant Hurst and I felt it was important to bring it forward as a consideration.
Okay.
Just as a
Yes.
just as a side note, I mean, I'm sure no one's ever seen any of the comments online about the meters. Why would you? But there are comments that the newer generation meter, the ones that have been upgraded already with the bigger screens,
Yes.
people have commented that they're a lot easier to.
They operate the same way, but I think the visibility on the screen is probably better.
Yes, definitely.
Yep.
And there are comments to that effect.
Yeah.
So that's a plus.
Good. No. I use them all the time when I go into Boston.
I use them in Cambridge,
Yeah.
and I just, what I don't want to do is have I like it, let me say that, I just don't want the experience more complicated than something, because you know, people are with these kiosks now, and if we're going to a newer version of this, I'd
Well,
like
there's
to
no,
see.
yeah, there's no doubt, Selectman Campbell, we're gonna get complaints. We
Yeah,
all
oh,
know
but
we're
you-
gonna
you
get
know that's
complaints.
coming. Yeah, you
We
know
know
that's
it.
coming.
This is
If,
like what's
yeah.
whatever.
Oh, and I agree with it.
It's like-
I like it.
Yeah.
I mentioned it before I even knew about this. I mentioned it to Mitch a couple of weeks ago when he said this was coming, so I'm all for it. I just want to make sure that the end user has an experience that's a little more intuitive and
Yeah.
can work better for them, along with the technology that we need.
Sure.
I mean, there are comments online that are like, go back to the quarter, the one,
Right.
and honestly, like, no,
No,
that's just impossible. Like, no one's gonna make those people happy, so we might as well just keep moving.
They don't make parts for those anymore either,
Right.
so
Which
I mean, that's
we've-
part of it,
which we've
but,
said time and time again, and no one has pennies.
yeah.
and-
I mean, part of the change is gonna be to, you know, work with the cultural district, work with the Chamber of Commerce, you know, hold a learning, you know, a learning session, if you will. We can put directions out there, we can put them on the website. I'm happy to go and meet with the business owners in a group and just walk through it, so at least they have a strong understanding of how these things work. But at the end of the day, it's very intuitive. You walk up to it, and for the most part, you put your money in, and it walks you through what you need to do.
Good.
So,
Great.
Ruth?
So maybe if we do agree to it, we could send something out that tells all the residents how to do it in their water bill or something.
Sure.
Or something that gets sent to every resident in town so they can put it in there on an app on their phone if they have, you know, that technology and stuff. I mean, it'd be good, and to have it in the paper so people know how to do it ahead of time.
Right.
As soon as they start, get it up and running, and there will be signs out for the general public to tell them how to do it.
There'll be instructions on
On
the
the
actual
thing.
kiosks. We'll put something on the website.
Yeah, okay.
Like I said, I'll get something into all the businesses, work
Yeah.
with the chamber, work with the cultural district, so as many people are as aware as possible.
Yeah.
And people who, there are gonna be a lot of people who also already have the app, probably because they use
Done it
meters in
someplace
other
else, yeah.
cities and towns that
Right.
have that.
Yeah.
Right, same thing. Good.
So pay by plate, I know pay by phone, but pay by plate is common, you're saying?
It all depends on, I guess, where you are and what setup you have, but, you know, Newburyport, for example, they have pay by space and they have pay by plate. It really depends on, I was in Salem probably about a month and a half ago. It was a parking lot, but it was a pay by plate kiosk, so you'd walk up. Yeah, you have to remember your license plate, but
Yeah.
I've used it
You
in,
know.
in places, several places in Florida too, where
Okay.
you just walk up to the kiosk
Yeah.
and punch the plate up.
Yeah.
So you can do either.
And this is addition to the credit cards.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it customizable? Meaning, I know when I did this in Cambridge, you could only renew, like it told you when you were running out, and you could only renew like once or twice or something like that. I would just, do we have that capability? Because I have something after that, but
do we have the capability to set maximum time limits on it?
in other words, you can only renew for 2 additional hours or 1
Sure.
additional hour, or 3 hours.
It's
or whatever.
customized, that part is
'Cause I
customizable.
think they're coming,
Yes.
you're coming to us soon with new proposed new regulations, right?
So the traffic and parking regulations are still a work in progress.
Yes.
So I don't want to
Right.
overcommit that
Separate,
you'll have
yeah,
that.
yeah.
You won't, but we are looking for a defined pay for parking season. And I believe what we're going to be landing on as a recommendation is like an April 15th to a November 15th. So it's a specific day that we start, it's a specific day that we finish, so people can rely upon that.
Good.
Okay, anyone else?
It's needed, yeah.
Yep. Toby, this is just discussion with us right now. You'll have plenty of time to weigh in, so.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Thanks for
very
your
good.
work on this.
Yeah, I mean, I have to give a lot of credit. Sergeant Hurst has done a lot of painstaking work getting us where we are. This past year, as far as the kiosk reliability goes, was much better. 2019, 2018, we experienced a lot of internal issues with the kiosks, and basically they rebuilt the entire machine on the inside out. And Sergeant Hurst was really instrumental in making that happen here, because they don't send out a tech. It's whoever's on the ground here is responsible to make those machines work. So, you know, the newer technology that are in some of these machines, and the rest of it will be coming, is much more reliable, and we're happy with what we've seen so far. So I think it just holds a lot of promise.
All right, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
So, Mr. Chair.
Do you need a vote from us?
Yes, please. So just to talk about the financial piece of it, so the board has the package in
Yep.
front of you.
Yep.
Yep.
The upgrades, as the chief has indicated, I believe are 31.1 on the amount. What we would ask the board to consider this evening is that the project not exceed the amount not to exceed 40,000, because we will also need to purchase the readers for
Correct.
enforcement. The finance director has reviewed the balance in the parking fund and is confident that 40,000 could be utilized for this fiscal year to do that.
We don't have a motion. Do you want to give us a motion?
I just have one more question if we can, real quick. What's the term of tech support that goes along with this from the company to support us for this in the event? How long does that duration run for?
So there's a warranty on the machines for a year that goes with, but the tech support, you can get tech support if, as far as the app goes, right through the app.
On our end, like if we have glitches and problems after that year, does our tech support side end after that year?
You're looking at tech support right here. Yeah, so Sergeant Hurst, has developed a good relationship with his counterpart at McKay, and realistically, it's one person there, believe it or not, that services numerous municipalities. So our tech support is whoever is managing the parking program. They don't send out a technician. They don't offer that service.
Just if they needed like software issues that we had, you could call in and you have somebody that you could talk to.
Oh yeah, they do that, and they like I said, Sergeant Hurst has developed a good relationship. They overnight parts to him to get him here so we can get the machines up and running. He's maintained, he's taken parts out of some and kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, has developed somewhat of a place within the department where he keeps spare parts so we can kind of get these things and keep them up and running rather than having to wait for a part to come in. He's kind of taken parts out of other machines and other meters, because we've got 25 meters in town that service 45 parking spaces, so it's not just the kiosk. We also have meters that need to be kept, up and running, so.
Great.
Okay, good. So, I need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would recommend that a proper motion would be move to approve the kiosk upgrade to include pay-by-plate and pay-by-phone payments not to exceed $40,000 from the parking fund.
I'll
Okay.
make that motion.
Second.
Moved and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 0. The motion passes 4-0. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll have this on the warrant for transfer
Those will be
approval.
open, I think. Can I get a sticker?
Okay, moving right along and keeping the public safety theme, we're going to have emergency service division update. How are you, Mark?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
If you don't mind, I'm gonna stand, I have,
Sure.
So I can get a better view of the
Of course. Thank you.
PowerPoint presentation there. Hopefully I won't be up here too long, and I've been working out with the chief, so I should be able to stand for a certain period of time here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to provide you this update. The way I thought that it would be best in concert with the town administrator to present to you is to give you an overview and a summary, because it's pretty fast-paced in emergency services with the different departments and what I've been able to do and work with them on. It's almost on an hourly basis. Right now, what I do is I work downtown Tuesdays and Fridays, and usually some Saturdays and Sundays here and there. And then also work up at the PD Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, plus as needed, and respond to the various emergencies in town.
What do you do in your spare time?
So, I love it. So if you could go to the agenda. So what I'm going to be covering in providing the overview on is just going through an overall look, because it would be too long and arduous for me to go in painstaking detail. So as we go through the slides, you'll see the different departments. So in emergency services, what I oversee directly is the fire, the forest fire, the ambulance, the harbor master, animal control, and emergency management. And the idea was, it's a divisional appointment that you provided, and what I do and have been doing since June of 2019. July, I took my post. June, it was introduced. I've been able to work with all of the various department heads, provide a solid foundation that can be built upon moving forward. And we've kept to that particular goal. I have held numerous meetings to introduce myself to the various entities, reintroduce myself to some. Make no mistake, change is difficult, but change has come. And we're working very smoothly and operating effectively in each of the various departments. As you'll see, we're going to just go over the plans, procedures, and protocols. Some of the operations, mostly I'm trying to work on things administratively to set that foundation before I get into operations. Some of the accomplishments, which you're aware of, and some you may not be aware of. And then strategic planning for long-term sustainability, what my plans are for the future for the different departments. And then I'll open it up to any questions you might have. Hopefully you received, I'm sure you received this in advance. You have any questions in your mind that you might have. So I thought it would be good to show you some of the, what I have for time allocation relative to the different departments. Obviously, some departments require much more attention than others. And that's basically a breakdown of what I put into the various areas when I put the time in to this role. The fire department leads, and then 20% with the ambulance. And as you can see, that's where the harbor master required the least amount, I believe, with the 5%. Scott and Rosemary have been terrific. Each and every one of the department heads has been open, willing. They've worked closely with me on a daily basis, almost an hourly basis. They come over, meet with me, they call me. We consult constantly. We keep everyone apprised. We do proper notifications. And there's been, it's just really worked very well together. And we recently had a department head meeting in November, December. And everyone came and everyone contributed. And you'll see what we came up with for some of the different items. So one of the things I wanted to do, again, I wanted to establish that foundation. So what that means is a standardization of different policies, procedures, rules, regulations, I wanted to establish communication means across all disciplines and streamline the processes so that everyone could rely upon something and be held accountable for it. So one of the things is I asked for mission statements. So you'll see a mission statement for each and one of the departments. Some might have had them previously. They've been updated, and some provided them new. So each slide has their mission statement. And then what I did was part of the standardization is providing an organizational structure in each of the different departments. And it's something they can look at, rely upon, be invested in, and also be proud of. So we put together an organizational structure which establishes a chain of command that they need to follow and that they can see visibly and understand through various means. So each one of the departments provided a mission statement and the organizational structure, and we have provided a viable chain of command in each one of those departments, whether it's creating a position or through promotions and command staff. Just another example with the ambulance. Ambulance is good. The ambulance, they actually have already established policies, procedures, rules, and regulations regionally because of the healthcare industry. They're very well, their process is very well run. And basically it's just fine tuning and working together to try to bring everyone under the same umbrella and coordinate and collaborate. And that's what we've been accomplishing slowly and gradually. Next. Forest fire, bringing forest fire into the fold, making them visible, getting them involved in community events, getting them involved in backing up the fire department, bringing them under that umbrella, bringing the fire department under all the companies under the same umbrella, responding to and making more resources available. Like I said, the harbor master, that's an updated mission statement that they provided. Very responsive, highly visible, responsive, communicative, and they're just always there. It's excellent. Emergency management. I don't know if you saw, that's a new logo. The animal control is a new logo. Animal control, I'll get to in a second. But emergency management, a lot of the things we're doing is the hazard mitigation plan. We've updated the town website. We've put on not only the main page, but the town emergency management web page. Social media, we're putting out various things regarding the coronavirus. The hazard mitigation plan update. We got grants through FEMA for a number of different things that is pretty substantial. So we've been very successful there, and working with the DPW and MEMA and FEMA project manager to get that done for the town. And you should see that in the town report if you want a more thorough breakdown. But you'll see it's pretty substantial and well worth the effort. Animal control, one of the newest, best things we've put together. We're very fortunate to have the animal control officer we have. She created this logo, and now we have that. We have a brand new shelter up there that's operational. She's highly visible. She's out there changing things. She's addressing members of the public. She has a calendar. She put together a mission statement. She put something in the town report. She meets with me on a weekly basis, and she's up there, out there visible in the van quite frequently. Hopefully you've all seen her. She's very highly motivated and a true professional. So, some of the things that we've been able to accomplish, in the pictures you'll see in here, the animal control, we're going to have an open house in the spring. So people will be welcome to the shelter, people that have animals, they want to see it's actually put in use. Dogs have been in and out of there. The police department can rely upon animal control to come and respond all hours of the day and night and take care of any issues that they need assistance with. And the program has been very successful. Promotional process. In each one of we've come before you on the assistant chief of the fire department. I've been able to institute and work with the department heads to have that same process that can be relied upon, that's best practice in each of the various disciplines. See, some of these aren't discipline specific. It's standardized, and everyone is on the same page now. And the way I put it out to the department heads, and they put it out to the command staff, such as injured on duty, employee assistance program. People don't even know it's available. Now they get it, they read it, they sign off on it, and everyone's aware of it in each one of those different areas. So we've established policies through memos, directives, emails. There's now distribution lists and everything to push out a lot of information and get the response. Like I said, the chain of command is viable and dependable. The structure, mission, vision, and values, communication, very important, top of my list. Another standardization is training. They were doing various trainings. We've upgraded a lot of the different trainings in all the disciplines and made a lot of training available to all of the various personnel. So it's a fair and equitable environment, and we're starting from June 2019 on. We're moving forward, and everyone's on board with that. We want to be positive and continue to move in a positive direction, because everyone's concerned with morale, cultural change. They receive the change. It has gone extremely well, and I'm very happy to report to you that because of your support, and I thank you sincerely, I mean, the town is in really good shape. Whether it's decisions that I'm making, I'm working closely with the town administrator. The chief of police has just been amazing to provide. I bounce off ideas off him all the time. We work very closely together in order to be on the same page and make sure that everything's done correctly. Again, these are the highlights only. there's so many, I couldn't even list them. It would be just very lengthy to be able to go over every single task that's been completed. I have things on the agenda that I want to complete. I get input from all of you. I get input from the town administrator. And then I have my marching orders, and the list is pretty long. So we've been very successful. These are just some pictures. We had the B-Fit Challenge. Now the fire department's doing volleyball up at the high school with air packs. We have breakfast being held across the street. Hopefully you've seen the improvements that have been made in each of the facilities, the work environments, where we had the inmates down for 80 hours and scheduled that and had that cleanup and organization. So they went and they did that was at Boston Garden. Then you see the animal control shelter down there. We had logos made up. We had the side of the van labeled as well, marked. So now you have a marked vehicle that's highly visible. You have a logo, and you have a visible shelter that's professional and operational. So again, the future, long-term sustainability, continue to work with each of the department heads. Again, meet with face-to-face, one-on-one meetings, department head meetings, command staff meetings, association meetings. I've met with all of them. I don't run things through email or messaging. I make sure that we communicate very effectively. And I stay consistent. Stay consistent in the messaging and the communication, and have a universal philosophy amongst all that they buy into. Establish policies and procedures, keep and enhance the structure, and establish a set of protocols that are standardized that everyone can rely upon moving forward. And that's it. Do you have any questions?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for that very thorough update.
Thank you.
Wasn't too long, was it?
No,
No.
not perfect.
Zip right
Perfect.
through it.
A lot has been obviously accomplished since this position was created at the end of June 2019. So thank you for everything that you've done, and working with all the departments and getting some, bringing it all under one umbrella. I think that was well put, because I think that's the case. So I think we're doing so much better when it comes to emergency services. So I'd like to open it up to any questions that the board may have for Mark.
I just wanted to comment that you've really professionalized the whole operation. Not that it wasn't before, but bringing that consistency and structure. Really, thank you very much for all your hard work. It really shows.
Really good. Anyone else? Campbell?
Yeah, please. I want to echo that and add just that the level of confidence, trust, and accountability and adherence to chain of command has increased exponentially under your leadership, and that was something that was needed. And it just brought about a new atmosphere and a new feeling in there that things are really on the right track, and I appreciate that, and thank you for that. The one question I have is, as far as animal control is concerned, do they have a regular patrol schedule, or is that as needed, or how does that actually work?
Good question, yeah.
So, one of the things that I addressed when the individual, when Diane was hired, was to have that accountability and also something that could be relied upon. And again, consistency. I really live and breathe that. So, we established a Google Calendar that myself and the town administrator have access to, that we're able to look and see when she is scheduled. So I sat down and broke down what we felt it would be based upon the stipend, monthly, weekly, hourly, and then we came up with how many days a week we're going to be consistent, that she would be visible and present, and she's tripled that. So we came up with a schedule, and she actually works and is visible much more than that. And that's, so you can rely upon her being out there at least 3 days a week, in addition to responding to calls for service all hours of the day and night. And she doesn't offset those other hours. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, I can't tell you how fortunate we are to have her, because that is one of the main concerns that I had coming into this position was the
Yeah,
animal control position.
Yeah.
So.
I think
Sta-
that was
Yes.
across the
I'm
board.
sorry. Yeah, staying on the animal control thing for a second, and I talked to the chief about this probably about 6 or 8 months ago. The coyote population, I don't want to get down into the weeds of things, but it seems like there's really been an uptick and things that have been going on. Has she seen that in her capacity?
It's mating season.
Where-
It's mating
It's
season.
mating season.
Yeah,
They're
I
all-
it is
understand, but
mating
even
season. It's
before that,
supposed to be
even when it
any-
was before that, I get it. You hear the love calls at night, but even
Yes.
still, it's,
So like I said, we meet weekly, and today just happened to be a day that we met. And she is on top of that. There are some issues there with, that she wants to have addressed. She's probably gonna be looking to ask for consideration on bylaws, additions, as well as putting together educational and awareness. If you look at her website, she now puts out information on there regularly in regard to all of these various issues, one of them being the coyote population and what the expectations are. She did this in Gloucester, and she raised awareness and put out brochures and everything else. Right now, we're working on the dog licensing. That's actually going out and going very, very well, getting that list streamlined. It was very antiquated, I can tell you, and it is being updated and squared away. So that is something that's on the agenda to be put out there, to raise awareness levels and to try to assist. But you can always, I mean, everyone, I think, is aware that the police department is available 24 hours a day. Should any public safety issue arise, we'll respond to that immediately.
Of course. Can I just make it?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you all set?
I'm good, thank you.
No, thanks, Mark. I mean, honestly, even just seeing all of the org charts and chains of commands, like in one place, organized with is like such a huge step forward. And we all know kind of, in addition to what you even touched on, what's going on behind the scenes and when there are issues or, when any events arise, kind of, I feel like before it wasn't that things were falling through the cracks, because they weren't, and the departments themselves were doing an excellent job. But I feel like now it's just the communication and the backup and everything kind of behind it, and the follow through to after it is just so smooth and visible. It's like a world of difference. So
It's working very, very well.
yeah, and I know change is hard, and I hope that even, the people who are having trouble with the change, I hope in the end they're able to kind of see the forest through the trees, that after the, after the dust settles, there's a bigger picture to look at. Because like, far and away for us, it's right there.
I do remember when I was on the school committee, that's when we hired, the town hired the first town administrator, and that did not go over well. That took a little while to get used to and so forth. So to Sarah's point about change, it does take a little bit, so.
Sure.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
So Mark, do you see this as an ongoing type of thing, or do you see these different groups being able to self-manage in the future? That you're instructing them in a way that they are sustainable by themselves with sort of a minimal person over them? Or do you see this as always being a big, inclusive position and type thing?
I guess that would be a larger question that, we would look at together. We'd all get together and look at what would be needed in the future
Yep.
for sustainability and find out where we're at that time. But that's that's an administrative decision that you might want to make for the future. But the goal is for me to provide the guidance and assistance they need at this time in the foundation
Yep.
to
Getting
be
ready for that.
successful,
Okay.
and provide that
Yep.
support.
And it might be that, maybe if some or all of them are able to self-manage some, that just opens up more of your time for training and,
Yep.
digging,
Yep.
because there certainly is no shortage
different
of
items.
stuff.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yep.
True.
Yep.
It's interesting. It's
Yeah.
crazy how much
Yep.
there is.
Yeah, it's quite an adventure. can be overwhelming, but it's fun at the same time because making a difference and a positive difference. So it's good. And really, is that
No,
Yeah.
go right ahead.
last thing is really it wouldn't even be possible without your support. I truly mean that. I don't come before you and say that every single time. It's with you don't know what decisions, you might not agree with all the decisions. You still stick with it and realize that there's that I know, and the faith that you have in me that I know what I'm doing means a lot, and that you support our efforts because then I can in turn support their efforts.
Great.
So thank you again.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so much. Thanks, Chief.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on. The consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Yes, there is a motion. I move that the board approve all non-held items on the consent agenda.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 0. The motion passes 5-0. We would like to, at this point to go to selectmen and town administrators' updates and liaison reports. Anyone have anything? Oh,
There was the matter of the meeting with Seth Moulton on Saturday.
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Very impressive.
Yep.
Yes.
It was great to meet with him beforehand,
very.
and
Yep.
he really spent time listening to people and answering people's questions. He was very present.
Yeah.
It was reassuring, I would
Well,
say.
We
Yeah,
had about approximately 75 people, which I thought was
pretty good turnout.
a good turnout.
Yep.
It's good because they did like 0 like, I mean, unless I missed it, but like I didn't see
I didn't
much
see anything
besides Mitch's post about it.
We tried to supplement what.
Yeah, it was weird to me that
Yeah.
there just wasn't. I actually, after the fact, something popped up on Facebook. Him being like, "I'm going to Rockport on Friday," and on Saturday. I was
Yeah.
like, "That was 2 days
Gloucester
ago."
Times covered it on Monday. In the,
Yep.
in the-
Yeah.
Nice
And the paper,
coverage.
yeah.
Yep.
So I'm glad there.
Yeah.
I was away, but I was.
Yeah,
I'm
it was
thanking
very
you guys
good.
for going. I'm glad there
Yeah,
was a
it
good
was very
turnout.
good.
Yeah.
He gave a lot of good information.
Yep.
Yeah, very good. I was just going to say from DPW Building Committee, we have, we'll be coming to the Board of Selectmen next week on a contract with City Point Partners and also for Weston and Sampson for the OPM for City Point and Weston and Sampson being our design and architect for the program, for the facility. So that will be coming next week.
We look forward to that. Anyone else?
I attended the finance committee meeting on Thursday night, I believe it was, and they were finishing kind of tail end of budget presentations. Thursday night was library, DPW, and debt. And then tomorrow, they're scheduled to meet tomorrow night to kind of discuss any, and then
Decisions are
final
hopefully tomorrow
decision
night.
on the budget, and then if necessary, they'll meet Thursday night as well, but hopefully they'll get it wrapped up tomorrow night. So I'll report back. I'll attend tomorrow night as well.
Wonderful.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you. Let's continue on with our agenda.
From Mitch.
Oh, Mitch, do you have anything?
My items are in the action list and discussion
Oh,
items,
okay.
so I'll hold for now. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the action list. Approval of the FY21 classification schedule.
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the fiscal year 21 classification and compensation schedules as recommended by the town administrator.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, this is in line with the board's budget vote for a 2% cost of living adjustment to the non-union staff and to our stipends. So the compensation schedule, as you know, is a standing article at
Right,
town
of
meeting.
course, yeah.
The board, previously the personnel board, now this board needs to approve that to send it forward for posting with the clerk.
Wonderful. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, 0. The motion passes 5-0. The use of top of Summit Avenue for Dogtown Trail Run.
I move that the board approve the use of the top of Summit Avenue for the Dogtown Trail Run organized by the Cape Ann Trail Stewards on May 30th, 2020, from 6:30 a.m. to 12 noon.
Okay, you heard the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Let's, any further discussion? Steve, do you have anything? I suspect you're here. Yeah,
Well,
Or
I just have
Eric.
one question.
of course.
I didn't, I heard Eric mentioned this at our last meeting, right? I just wanna make sure at 6:30 a.m., are you letting people know in the top house, like, will anybody in the houses be affected, or is that just you guys arriving if needed?
Well,
At 6:30 a.m. would be people getting set up.
Yeah.
What time people showing up?
They usually show up half an hour before the restarts at 9.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be,
So it should be fine.
Driving up Summit Ave to get there.
They're not?
Runners will park at other locations.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
They're kind
Yeah,
of
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
onto a trail.
Okay.
Right. I was
okay.
thinking. Got it. So it shouldn't be a problem. Cool.
Great.
Minimal amount of people driving up
Great.
Summit Ave.
Because we've heard concerns about parking up there,
Right.
so.
Right. Cool. If I had any.
Park, and we don't intend to park anyone near the dog park area.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
The people that will set up will park on the other road that leads up to that gate.
Okay, great.
It looks really cool. If I
Yeah.
had any ability to run on anything but pavement, but I'm bad enough on pavement.
I have one question.
Yeah.
During the last 2 runs, we have served soup to the runners. Do we need any sort of Board of Health or other issues?
So you'll need to speak with, you'll need to give the Board of Health a call
Yeah.
on that. Yep, Laura Osmond, the food inspector.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, 0. The motion passes 5-0.
Good luck.
Thank
luck.
you.
Thanks. Cool.
sounds great. Another run.
And number 3 under our action list is approval of placement of articles on the annual town meeting warrant. Is there a motion?
Before you do the motion, Mr. Chair, if I could walk through first, just in case you opt to not place any of these.
Of course.
So the board has in their packet the list that we've put together for all of the articles that have been submitted so far. So it's the board stance list, which should be in your packets. This lists everything that we have to date. Certainly the warrant's closed. I had a placeholder in here as well for the kiosk upgrades if the board opted to do that. So we have it. Just working through the FY20 portion of the meeting. We have the usual year-end transfers. We have the sped stabilization fund transfers in and out. So we've got lines from the school department that'll be transferred in. We've got the free cash amount that'll be transferred in, and the superintendent is anticipating withdrawing approximately $113,000 from that account once the transfers in are made. Police contract, we need to do the AFSCME general, should say AFSCME general, contract. We need to do the ratification for that, the final ratification. So that'll be in front of the board next week. We're in the process of finalizing the integrated contract for consideration. So as you're aware, the first year appropriations for that need town meeting's approval. So we're finalizing the document for that. Long Beach, FEMA, and non-Long Beach FEMA borrowing. So let me just pull up. I'll put up on the screen the items that the DPW director has submitted.
Works now. Remember how many meetings you'd like try to use the screen? It would just
Now it
go
works.
black.
No more cords. It works much better with direct connection. So there are several items that the DPW director has put forward, but things have adjusted slightly since some of these were presented. So the first one was presented through CIPC and was given a recommendation based on having a FEMA contract in place before we proceeded with the borrowing. The other items the director submitted after the CIPC process, and those cover the back beach revetment and the repairs to the different wharfs around town. So the concern that's now presented itself, the director has indicated that timing-wise, we will not have FEMA contracts in place by town meeting.
Yeah, so,
So that makes that
yeah.
leaves a decision to the board on whether you wish to proceed.
With all 3, we aren't
Correct.
gonna have contracts?
We will not have contracts.
So,
Okay.
so
Let's- yeah, I think we're all on-
speaking from CPC,
Yeah.
we discussed the first one.
CIPC.
CIPC, I'm sorry, CIPC. We discussed the first one, and it was very clear at our meeting, mentioned several times, that if we didn't have the FEMA authorization and the contract with them, that it would be a no-go for town meeting.
Mhm.
We were not going to put the
Correct.
town on the hook for that amount of money.
Right.
Right now, we would be having to pay 100% of it. The thing was that we were going to pay 25 and they were going to pay 75. So we said at the meeting, we were not going to do that if we didn't have a contract.
Absolutely.
The second two, he didn't even bring to CIPC. So therefore, I don't think they shouldn't be on the warrant. They weren't discussed.
Where
They
was
weren't
the money?
vetted.
Where was the money even
Yeah.
coming
I don't know where he thought the
They
money
would-
was
They would
coming
be
from.
borrowings. They would be borrowings.
But
So, no.
just,
Doesn't
but
that have to
not,
go through CIPC?
not CIPC
They
vetted
still have
borrowing?
same requirements.
Okay, well,
So,
I don't think it matters.
At this
Yep.
point, I'm not sure that we're in a position to be moving forward. It's the board's decision to make.
Can I ask a quick question? So, are the contracts not done because of our end or because of like?
I think
So
it's-
things have shifted on FEMA's end.
Okay.
Some of the projects have adjusted a bit,
Okay.
but apparently it's simply taking longer
That's fine.
on the FEMA piece. And
Yeah.
the board may decide, you may be ready certainly for September. If there's a pressing need, the board could always call a special town meeting if you felt it was appropriate, if the contracts came in.
But I do think it bears noting that only the first one has even been vetted by
Right,
CIPC.
absolutely.
So
Yep.
even if the contracts come through, the second two haven't
Right.
been
Haven't
vetted.
gone through there.
So
Yep.
they're not-
No,
They're not prepared.
we didn't even discuss those. We
Yeah,
didn't even
so
bring those
Mitch
forward.
should make sure and keep that
Yes,
noted.
I will
Yeah.
remind the director of that.
Okay.
June.
So I'm
June?
No, I'm good. I'm good on that way before I jump to the next one.
June Michaels, lover of seawalls, also long time involvement with CIPC, and I understand it's quite aggravating for projects to.
June, excuse me, one second. She should be at a mic because this
Yeah.
is important for
Yeah.
people to hear this.
Good point.
June Michaels, lover of seawalls, also experienced in CIPC. It's quite aggravating when things don't show up until the last minute. So you're right to talk about procedure. However, I would suggest, is there any possibility of just keeping the articles on as a placeholder? Because the real issue is the urgency of the work. And the fact that work on seawalls is done during the summertime, not the winter. It's a long time before fall town meeting to make a decision on these, and no work would be done next winter anyway. So you should maybe keep them as a placeholder and try to figure out, is there any urgency in any part of these projects that we would want to move forward this spring on?
Okay, is there any appetite to?
I think that makes total sense, but unfortunately, without the contracts,
Yeah.
I think we're
Yeah.
Right.
I haven't seen the back beach of the other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they haven't
They're
even
not
come, they
contracted.
haven't even
Neither
come to
have we.
us.
So-
CIPC didn't either.
Yeah,
neither
no.
neither
Yeah,
has
they didn't-
CIPC. Right.
Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah. So unfortunately, I mean, I think that
there's-
September
yeah.
would be our next.
I
And,
mean-
and on those, I mean, I think that maybe.
I mean, I can
Could CIPC meet between now and September again?
Oh, certainly.
So
We
maybe
could certainly
that
be ready
has
for the
to
fall.
Maybe that has to happen so that doesn't get pushed out another year if those are timely.
Mhm.
But I think if we know now that the contracts aren't going to be ready,
Right.
that it doesn't make sense. I mean, we can't be on the hook for all that much.
Correct.
Right.
We're not
Spend the
able,
money.
we really should
Right.
not be taking on the full liability
Okay,
for
good.
these.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
But again, it's up to you if you want to keep placeholders or if you simply don't want them on.
No,
No, I think,
I agree.
Yeah, I just don't think we can. I wish.
Right.
Okay,
I
so
wish-
the consensus is that they're off then. Am I
Yeah,
just-
Yeah.
but I
okay.
think
Yep.
that
That's
CIPC will have to try to meet to
Yeah.
vet the other
look
two,
at them
so
again,
that
but-
like as soon
Yep.
as the
I think we
contracts
just
are
need to
done.
remind him that it needs to come ahead of time. It needs to
Yep.
come to CIPC
Yep.
with all those other things that they
that's
wanted.
the process.
Yep.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Very.
Okay.
So the next one, I had a placeholder on for kiosk upgrades in case the board opted, so this evening that'll be on that article.
Yep, perfect.
That moves us into the FY '21 portion of the meeting. Articles 1 through 6B, all the standard articles, are operating and capital expenses, comp schedules, prior borrowing, prior year bills. Article A, the acceptance of the town reports. B, Chapter 90 funds. C, again, we're proceeding ahead with a consolidated charitable grants article. So instead of 4 or 5 of those, it's one shot. D is the stabilization and trust fund transfers that consensus has been reached on previously with this board and finance committee on the use of free cash. E is the, up until I would say last year, was our annual appropriation from free cash to the assessor reval portion. Let me put this, sorry, I'm talking and it's not on the screen. There we go.
Yep.
Slide down, it should pop.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
So then it gets into several articles. So the, there's a bylaw proposal for amending Chapter 14 for a ban on balloons in certain circumstances that has been presented. It has been to date reviewed by the Board of Health, and they've offered some amendments to it. Government and Bylaw has reviewed it as well and offered some amendments to help clarify the process and clean things up a little bit. So that's something that's been presented. It is not, initially it came along as an outright ban. It is no longer an outright ban, and perhaps Selectman Donnelly, if you wanted to add.
No,
if
it's
there's
just lighter than air, so helium
Yep.
balloons.
Yeah, right,
Yes.
Yep.
So, and so the police department would handle enforcement for it, but no one is stopping anybody on the street and taking balloons away.
Yeah.
The language
Come
has been
here, kid.
adjusted, so.
The language is much better. Much
Yes,
better.
it's
Much
improved
better.
greatly with some of those adjustments. So we have that one. A petition article was submitted for term limits for the Board of Selectmen.
Now, I
So-
thought that, didn't,
So the initial feedback from town council on
Yeah.
that is that in its current form, it's not binding and it's not correct.
And they were told that, right?
A representative of the lead petitioner was told that directly, actually, by Lauren Goldberg from KP Law at a Government and Bylaw Committee. But certainly anybody's welcome to submit what they want.
Yeah.
So town council will do a deep dive. That was a quick look because it affects elected officials.
Is it just selectmen?
So it's not.
Correct. It is
Oh.
just so. Actually, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let me just pull that up for you.
Yeah.
I got page 1 on all of these. So this is the petition article. It is a term limit strictly for the Board of Selectmen as submitted. So anything that affects elected officials requires special legislation. Because our charter is in essence a special act charter instead of a home rule charter. So it does require special legislation. This doesn't ask for that. But certainly it'll proceed forward and
Were they told of this? Were they told?
the individual was told directly by town
But in
council.
time, could they have
Well-
amended it
well
if they
ahead.
wanted?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Before signatures were collected, it was made clear to a representative of the lead petitioner.
so what's this gonna cost the town in terms of legal fees?
So it'll be part of the standard review. So whatever it normally costs us for the review,
So-
$2,000 total,
Yeah.
I think is part of all of it.
Okay.
I support it.
No changes, so there won't be any kind of rewrite, so it'll simply be, it's legal or it's not, basically.
And so, at town meeting, voters will be told that this is not binding and that
Correct.
it's not legal.
Based on the initial advice from town council, again, we'll wait for their final ruling, but Lauren Goldberg was very clear in the Government and Bylaw Committee that to affect elected officials, it requires special legislation. This does not ask for special legislation.
Could that be amended on the floor of town hall to reflect that
If
requirement?
the moderator deems that it's within the four corners of the article, so to speak.
And then,
This is just kind of an embarrassment.
So it's
to make us-
petition article, so away it
Yep.
goes.
Let's move on. We don't.
There are two zoning bylaw
Yep.
amendments. One is clarifying the side setback language, and one is clarifying the gross floor area. Planning board has spent some considerable time trying to make some adjustments that they've gone through their public hearing process.
do you
And
think it's going to be clearer? Because I just feel like sometimes it's,
I think it'll be as clear as it can be for a confusing topic that requires an algorithm to come out with an answer.
Yep.
great.
We will have, the plan now will be to have zoning council there as well, so Amy Questle will plan to ask her to be present in addition to the planning board.
I think what is good is that it will be clear to all the parties who need to understand it.
Right.
So, you know,
That's
the
good.
building inspector will understand the same thing as the
The planning board.
planning board.
Yeah.
Yes, because right now, that's really where the disconnect is.
Right.
The,
Yeah,
the-
right.
the
That's
intention of the
what's wrong.
planning board is different than the interpretation of the
Right.
building inspector.
Right.
So the next item is another petition article regarding compensation for elected officers. This one is again, the very first blush from the comment from council who happened to be present. This one could be handled this way, so it would basically eliminate compensation for all elected officials with the exception of the town clerk and the moderator. So the positions that receive a stipend at this point, in addition to the two listed there, clerk, of course, receives a salary. School committee and assessors are the current ones that receive stipends.
DPW?
They are not elected.
They're not elected.
Oh, I'm
So,
sorry.
So this
School,
gets
school
rid of
committee gets a
all-
stipend?
school committee gets a stipend.
You
But
leaving
so
us?
this gets rid of all the stipends.
We don't.
It
We
gets
don't.
rid of everybody except the
But
clerk and the
But
moderator.
this is advisory as well.
So this one would be binding.
Oh, binding.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, this one is appropriately
Okay.
drafted.
What does the school committee get?
I don't know the number off the top of my head.
And you said
More than
assessors
us.
and
It's more than
assessors?
us.
No, no,
And
we,
Assessors as
assessors,
well.
they're the only other two?
It's
They're
more
the
than
two?
us, FYI.
So
Oh,
I'm sure.
Well,
So
more
again-
than nothing?
petition article, so forward it goes. Another petition article regarding Long Beach. Sorry, wrong direction here. So this one,
Oh, this is good.
shall the town of Rockport ask the Board of Selectmen to perform a FEMA mitigation study to have the cottages removed from Long Beach's leased land due to rising sea levels and continual expenses to taxpayers to repair or replace the seawall at an estimated cost of $32 million. In place of the cottages, have the lands used for an ecologically sustainable parking lot and walking paths for accessing our public Long Beach by all Rockport taxpayers and residents. So again, petition article, forward it goes.
Thank you.
The next
That one
two-
doesn't say where the 32 million's gonna come from.
No, this is simply saying, asking the board to consider a study
Got it.
to review
Okay.
it. The next two on the draft list are the short-term rental community impact fees. I previously had discussed this with the board, and you had indicated to proceed forward with this. As you're aware, the Finance Committee is unanimously endorsing both of these items to move forward. Again, there are two types, so there are two different articles. One for basically a single room and one for the whole house. The town can levy up to 3% in each of those areas, and the recommendation is to levy the 3% in both of those areas.
And this would be obviously income for the town.
It would.
Yeah.
It would.
Any idea how much that would be?
No, we're still trying to make that assessment. Folks had to register with DOR for all their properties, so
Right.
that's in. Oddly, tracking this information has been a little bit difficult. Normally, DOR has everything uploaded on the website, very easy to find. This, for some reason, we have to write to DOR and wait for them to send it back to us. They send us a spreadsheet back.
Oh,
So
boy.
the assessor continues to reach out, and we keep getting more and more names added on. But we do know, certainly anecdotally, and information provided to the office, that there are hundreds of Airbnbs of both types within the town.
Yeah.
So the recommendation is to place both of these on there and to levy 3% impact fees in both areas. The next item is another petition article. This one is regarding the Seabrook nuclear reactor. I'll just read it for everyone. So we've been informed that the Seabrook nuclear reactor has been discharging radioactive operating gases daily to the air and ocean outfall since 1990. The ocean discharge travels by coastal gyres south to all shores, beaches, and rock outcropping. The discharge to the atmosphere travels by airborne plumes of hot gases that cool and drop over coastal interfaces and topographic features such as higher elevations. We must refuse any and all deposition of radioactive gases, fallout particles, or any form of ionizing radiation discharge on town of Rockport geography, coastal or inland, all water surfaces, fresh or salt water. Research from Scotland, Germany, and Serbian universities show that radiation fallout kills chlorophyll, thus stopping photosynthesis. This radioactive discharge kills plankton, trees, and other living organisms. So again, petition article, forward it goes.
Thank you.
The town also received a petition for fluoride, the removal of fluoride. So this one is asking the board to petition the legislature to allow for an exemption to remove fluoride. An article that is substantially similar to this has come at least once previously to town meeting.
I remember.
Once, twice.
So I know certainly there'll be some discussion on that as we press forward. So again, petition article, so forward it goes. The town received a petition article regarding Straitsmith Way and the parcel of land owned by the town on Straitsmith Way, seeking to provide it to the Conservation Commission as conservation land as a companion site to the Kieran Nature Preserve on Straitsmith Way. So again, there are two parts associated with this. Is the town meeting piece, and then there's the decision of the selectmen to follow through and make that
So
particular
this is
transfer.
advisory
So,
again?
well, two pieces are needed. There is a town meeting vote that's needed as well,
Okay.
but it does require the board to also vote in the
Got it.
affirmative for it to take place.
Okay.
So this one actually came in November, so we've had this one for a while.
Yeah.
So this one is petition article, so forward it goes.
Okay.
And then the last one on the list is the standard ad hoc water committee report and continuation vote.
Okay. Thank you, Mitch.
So would you like a motion?
Busy meeting.
Please.
So it will be I think that's an important note. This will be a very busy Saturday.
Go to bed early.
Maybe
Yeah,
not.
so, just to make sure I have the correct information, at this point, the only articles that the board has instructed removal for are Roman numeral 4 and Roman numeral 5 on the draft list
Right.
for the two types of FEMA projects.
Yes. So
Okay.
I'll make the motion accordingly.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the placement of warrant articles, Roman numeral 1 through 3, Roman numeral 6, and articles numbered 1 through 6B and A through G for the April 4th, 2020 town meeting and to prepare the warrant for signature. Further, the town administrator, oh, sorry.
There's also others, H through Q.
Oh, sorry, G, oh, and H through Q, sorry. For the April 4th, 2020 town meeting and to prepare the warrant for signature. Further, the town administrator is authorized to reorder articles, re-letter articles, and remove articles that are no longer necessary in preparation for final approval by this board.
Okay, you've heard the
Second.
motion. Second, moving second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 0. The motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. The plan will be to, if we can turn around with council quick enough to get it to you for consideration next week. I do expect there will be some relettering, meeting with the moderator beginning of the week, and I expect we'll tweak a few that may go together and make it a little bit easier that way.
Right. Thank you. Okay, let's continue on to discussion items, FY21 operating and capital budgets.
That was just.
Thank you,
we
Mr.
just did
Chairman. So, for this one, just to bring everybody up to speed, as Selectman Wilkinson indicated, Finance Committee is meeting tomorrow evening to make some final decisions on the budget. As the board is aware, we've received the final information on health insurance, 5.33%, so we've made those appropriate adjustments inside the budget. Areas where we've made some adjustments since the board has seen it, as we've continued to lower that amount in health insurance, we were able to fulfill some of the next items on the list. One of them being actually very appropriate with the emergency services piece, $10,000 for operating expenses for the emergency services department. Right now, our office has been carrying the expenses for that, so we've been holding back on some things. So if they needed some training money, we were paying for that. We're not able to do that a second year in a row. So this provides that ability for them to utilize for operating expenses. We've also made some adjustments to the 4 positions in IS&T to accommodate changes to their workload for taking on some additional areas in town. We've also made an adjustment, adding some funding into the accounting office. I hope to be back in front of the board in the very near future, hopefully before town meeting, with a final plan for the future for that office. The finance director and I have been working on what we hope will be a helpful way forward for that office. That's a little bit more on the creative side, but will still meet all of our needs and then some.
Perfect. Okay.
So, otherwise, generally speaking, things are as presented. And then once certainly Finance Committee approves it, they'll be finalizing their report. We'll get that out to folks ahead of time. And then on to town meeting. We're in the home stretch now.
Great.
Looking forward to it. And it's gonna be a long one. That's good to get everyone prepared. Okay, any unanticipated business or announcements?
I just have the payroll, the warrant.
Oh, yes, please.
Selectman George signed the payroll warrant number 36 totaling $112,255.99, and the expense warrant 36 totaling $244,272.87 on March 3rd, 2020.
Okay, thank you very much. Any announcements or anything?
Do we want to
We wanna look and
reschedule?
Schedule a meeting?
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
yes.
sorry. Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody, for agreeing to
Yeah.
reschedule that.
When, what looks good for people?
Well, Mitch,
What do you think, Mitch?
3 or 4 options, that would be helpful for me to then bring that back to council to take a look at.
Were we still looking at a Saturday, or were we looking at coming in early some night?
Well, early is
No,
tough.
okay.
I mean, it's doable.
It's up to
but
the,
Yeah.
Unless we run it after. We
that's-
have a regular meeting and do it after.
Yeah, I think this
That's
needs to be a
really hard.
standalone.
Yeah.
so I would expect that this will probably be a three-ish hour executive
I
session.
mean, unless
Okay.
we tried to do a Tuesday that we didn't have a meeting.
Or we have,
So that would put us, so Tuesday without a meeting would be in April? Let's
Oh,
see.
I don't have it. Do we have something on the 17th?
There is
We
something
don't
on the
have-
17th. yeah.
Oh, it's not on the calendar, FYI.
Okay, it should, yeah.
Is that a workshop with DPW and stuff? I have it on there.
Yeah, so that may end up
April
altering
17th?
depending on
March.
what the board chooses here.
Okay.
So at the moment, it should still be there. I'll check and see why it's not on the calendar.
What about the 31st?
31st?
The 31st?
31st. So the 31st is an option, yep. 31st, 3/31. So the April 14th.
I'd rather do the 31st.
I'd rather do the 31st and get it
Yeah,
done.
Yeah, he
it's,
just
if
needs
I
a
can give him
couple
a few
options.
options
Yeah,
for
yeah.
for the
Oh,
lawyer.
okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Okay,
maybe the
31st.
31st is our first option.
priority
the
one.
14th is our second.
Yeah.
Yep,
Would that work? Does that work
yep.
for you, Don?
21 is that's
Yeah, I just need, we're going north. I just need to check with my wife and see when, but I'll have
Yeah.
to
For
get that.
school, because I think
School
school
vacation is
vacation's the
20.
next week,
The
the
20th.
20th. Okay,
the 28th, that Tuesday.
or the 28th, yeah.
Are they
Bef-
doing the Rockport?
So the week before
Tuesday always
or
works better for
after.
me.
Yeah, Tuesday's just so much easier to.
It is.
So what
Hockey,
time would
between
the-
hockey and
Yeah.
everything else, it just,
What time would the board like to start?
Well, I
5
think
a.m.
Denise-
Denise, what time?
6?
I could get here by 6.
Okay, so 6.
6 p.m.?
Yep.
I would say,
Could bring food.
we'll provide sandwiches for
Yeah.
that meeting. I
Okay.
expect it'll probably be about 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours, I would say, hold for
Yeah.
executive session.
Perfect.
Okay, so we'll plan to move forward, hopefully
Thanks
31st.
again, everybody, for being willing to
Oh,
reschedule.
Happy to do it. Is there a motion, anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All
Seconded.
those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed 0, the motion passes 5-0.